Sankhya is one of the closest to Advaita Vedanta. And there's a lot that Advaita takes from Sankhya. Actually, Sankhya chronologically is probably older than what we call Advaita Vedanta now, because the Sankhyan texts, the one you referred to, Ishvara Krishna's Sankhya Karika, that's the oldest authentic text available. There are other texts which claim to be older, but probably not. They're probably reconstructions of lost texts. But the Sankhya Karika is definitely very ancient. Now, the Sankhya is one of the so-called orthodox systems of Hindu philosophy, the six systems. The Nyaya school, which specialized in logic, the Vaisheshika school, which specialized in metaphysics, a pluralistic metaphysics, the Sankhya school, which was frankly dualistic, a spiritual nature and a material nature, consciousness and matter, being irreducible. Then the Yoga school, which refers to Patanjali's yoga, which specialized in developing meditation techniques. Then there's the school of the Purva Mimamsa, which specialized in ritualism and developed a philosophy and theory of language based on Vedic ritualism. And then the Uttara Mimamsa, which is another name for which is Vedanta. And in that Vedanta, you have multiple schools like I listed earlier, and one of which is Advaita Vedanta. So this is the relationship between Sankhya and Advaita Vedanta. They are part of Orthodox Hinduism, but Advaita Vedanta is part of the Vedanta group of schools, and Sankhya is an older, let us say, sibling of these schools. Practically, however, it is Vedanta which rules the roost, because if you look at actual practicing Hindus, they'll probably belong to some school of Vedanta, mostly to a devotional school. If you go to a Hindu temple and you're confronted with this bewildering array of deities, and if you look deeper, what are the texts, what's the philosophy behind it, you will find some school of Vedanta, mostly a dualistic devotional school of Vedanta. So what are the similarities and dissimilarities? The first big similarity is in the conception of consciousness or pure consciousness. According to Sankhya and according to Advaita Vedanta, there is a reality called pure consciousness, which is just bare consciousness or bare awareness. It is fundamental, it's irreducible, and we are that. Both Sankhya and Advaita would say, who am I? We are not bodies, we are not minds, we are consciousness. We are beings of pure awareness or pure light, if you will. Yes, endowed with bodies and minds. And the differences, yes, both in Sankhya and Advaita, enlightenment would constitute realizing that we are this pure consciousness, correcting the error that we are bodies and minds, and realizing that we are pure consciousness. Another great similarity between Sankhya and Advaita would be the primary method of spiritual practice, if you will, is a philosophical inquiry. We actually sit and take a good hard look at ourselves with the question, who am I? And there are methods of inquiry. There are procedures which you follow and come to the realization, oh, I am this witness consciousness. I am not the body, not the mind. I am the witness, the awareness, which is the witness of the body-mind. Differences. Now, in Sankhya, the object, the material universe, all of that is put under the category Prakriti, which literally means nature, material nature. And Prakriti is an independent reality, which operates in cooperation with consciousness. So consciousness and nature, Prakriti and Purusha, nature is Prakriti and Purusha is consciousness. These are the ultimate realities in Sankhya, in the Sankhya system. And it is Prakriti which evolves into this physical universe, stars and planets, and also our bodies, and also, interestingly, the mental universe. So the mental universe is not conscious. It is endowed with consciousness because of our presence. It's because you are embodied in that body and mind. That's why that body and mind shine with awareness and consciousness. That's your light. And the body and the mind are more like chariots, to borrow an Upanishadic metaphor, a vehicle for you, the consciousness. Whereas in Advaita Vedanta, this material universe is not seen as an independent reality. It's seen as a power of consciousness. Maya is the same Prakriti, but it's merged into consciousness. It is consciousness itself through the power of Maya which appears as the objective universe. So here's a very big difference. Here in Sankhya, you have a material order and a spiritual or consciousness, spiritual order or consciousness, and they interact. Where do they interact? Us. We are where they interact. The consciousness and bodies and minds interacting, and with the external universe. So on this side is all matter, all nature, and on this side is all consciousness. And they interact. Whereas Advaita would say this material universe is not an independent universe. In fact, Shankara, in his commentaries on Advaita, he starts with this. He questions. That's where he really targets Sankhya. He knows that to make his case, he just has to take one step beyond Sankhya. So his entire focus is on Sankhya. And he challenges Sankhya that how do they interact? The old interactionism problem. If you have a thoroughgoing duality, if they're so utterly different from each other, how would they even come in contact and interact with each other? This is something that Descartes also had to face, the mind-body dualism. But here is a much deeper dualism. Descartes' body, world, mind, all of them would come under the category of nature in Sankhya. And pure consciousness is the witness of that. But how do they interact? And Shankara's, the Advaita's answer is they don't. They don't interact. It's in fact consciousness alone which is appearing as the object, as the material universe. So it's actually in principle one reality. It is only consciousness. So the problem of interaction is solved. There's a word adhyasa in Sanskrit. A very good English translation would be superimposition. Imposition is when you put something on top of the other. Superimposition is when we mistake one thing for the other. So the classic example of mistaking the rope for a snake. We are mistaking the pure consciousness for this objective universe. So the rope being pure consciousness and the snake, so-called snake, being this world which seems to exist apart from us. So what Advaita does is it reduces the material universe back into you, the consciousness. We are nothing. This universe is nothing but us. We are appearing to ourselves much like a dream, for example, in which the dreamer appears as the dream world and also the person in the dream world who's experiencing the dream world. Both the subject and object are actually appearances of an underlying reality. That's what Advaita claims. A further claim of Advaita is that there are no multiple consciousnesses. So backing up, Sankhya says we are all different selves. There are innumerable Purushas, innumerable consciousnesses, if you will. Where Advaita Vedanta says you can't distinguish one consciousness from another. So consciousness by itself is just one. And it appears to be many in conjunction with multiple bodies and minds. So these are the main differences between Sankhya and Advaita Vedanta. Material nature is not independent according to Advaita. It is a power or a manifestation of the spiritual nature. So there's a non-dual spirituality. That's what, so you can see, it's pretty intuitive. All of us experience the world as subjects and objects. That's the standard paradigm for everybody. And Sankhya just makes a philosophy out of it. Says that the subject is really pure consciousness and that's what we truly are. And the object is everything else. And our problem is mixing up the two. We must separate the two and then we see that as pure consciousness, we are fine. We are free. We have no problems at all. So the separation of pure consciousness from its objective component is Sankhya. And separation in enlightenment, not forcibly physical separation or anything. Whereas Advaita Vedanta would say the realizing the non-duality of your spiritual nature, that is enlightenment. And Sankhya insists multiple selves. Advaita says that's only apparent. The self is one reality, the one non-dual Brahman. So this is the similarity and difference in Sankhya. But Advaita Vedanta clearly owes a lot to Sankhya.
Become Swami Vivekananda's messenger. Share the video with 3 of your friends.